Solomon, the king of Israel, is undoubtedly one of the most fascinating characters in the Bible. His wisdom and grand achievements are admired even by those who do not follow the Christian faith. He was the author of the books of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs, and the wisdom God granted him was so extraordinary that no one in the world could compare to him. Solomon built an enviable economic empire and was responsible for the construction of the Temple of Jerusalem, along with many other grand buildings. The son of David and Bathsheba, his name means beloved by God, and God truly loved Solomon, making him the king of Israel, even when other sons of David were ahead of him in the line of succession. The Bible tells us that as soon as he inherited the throne, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Solomon asked for a heart full of wisdom to judge God's people, and God was so pleased with this request that he not only granted him wisdom but also wealth and fame. But even with all this wisdom, Solomon made serious mistakes. Today, we are going to explore the 3 biggest mistakes of King Solomon and see what we can learn from them. But first, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell to be notified of upcoming videos. First mistake: becoming spiritually lukewarm. Solomon, the king known for his unparalleled wisdom and great achievements, began his reign with a heart dedicated to God. He faithfully followed the teachings of his father, David, and the nation of Israel flourished under his just and wise rule. His devotion to the Lord was evident, and all who knew him could see that he was a blessed man. But as the years passed, Solomon began to drift away from this fervent devotion. He allowed himself to be seduced by the love of foreign women from nations that did not worship the God of Israel. The Bible tells us in 1 Kings chapter 11, King Solomon loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter. They were from nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, "You must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods." Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. Solomon married 700 princesses and had 300 concubines. Over time, these women turned his heart away. He did not completely abandon his faith in God, but his heart was no longer fully devoted to the Lord. He began to worship the gods of these women, building altars for them and engaging in practices that were abominable in the eyes of God. Imagine a man who had everything: wisdom, wealth, power, but who, because of his choices, began to lose the essence of his faith. Solomon was not cold in faith, but he was not hot either. He was lukewarm. And what does the Lord say about this in Revelation 3? "I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other. So, because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth." God appeared to Solomon twice, warning him not to follow other gods. But Solomon, with his divided heart, disobeyed, and God became angry with him, saying, "Since this is your attitude and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Nevertheless, for the sake of David your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of the hand of your son." The consequence was devastating. After Solomon's death, the kingdom of Israel was divided, and much of the empire he had built was lost, all because of his lukewarm heart. And here is the great lesson. Even a man as wise and blessed as Solomon can stray from the ways of the Lord if he does not guard his heart. Spiritual lukewarmness is dangerous because it gives us a false sense of security. We think we are fine because we have not completely abandoned the faith, but in reality, we are slowly drifting away from God. Second mistake: vanity and selfishness. Solomon launched into great projects. He built magnificent houses, vineyards, gardens, and orchards. He says in Ecclesiastes 2, "I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me." He amassed immense wealth: silver, gold, treasures of kings and provinces. He surrounded himself with singers, both men and women, and a harem as well. He became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before him. Solomon denied himself nothing his eyes desired. "I refused my heart no pleasure," he said. But in this relentless pursuit of pleasure and self-aggrandizement, Solomon strayed from the values that initially defined him as a great king. His vanity blinded him. He became egocentric, concerned only with his own ambitions and pleasures. The man who once asked for wisdom to serve his people ended up using that wisdom to satisfy his own ego. This vanity came at a cost. Solomon imposed heavy taxes on his people to sustain his luxurious lifestyle and grand projects. The people of Israel, who once prospered under his just rule, began to suffer under the oppression of a king who seemed to have forgotten his duty to them. After Solomon's death, the people went to his son and successor, Rehoboam, asking for relief from the heavy burden Solomon had imposed. They said, "Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but now lighten the harsh labor and the heavy yoke he put on us, and we will serve you." Furthermore, in his vanity, Solomon tried to fight against God's prophecies. When he learned that Jeroboam had been chosen by God to rule over 10 of the tribes of Israel, Solomon tried to kill him to preserve his own legacy. The king who once asked for wisdom to govern justly was now willing to eliminate any threat to his dynasty, even if it meant disobeying God. Third mistake: greed and exploitation. God promised wealth to Solomon, but he wanted even more. He began to levy heavy taxes on the people of Israel. His greed was so great that after his death, the Israelites asked his son Rehoboam to be more just. Solomon tried to fill his empty life with wealth, but no amount of money can buy the presence of God. At the end of his life, he acknowledged, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Solomon's mistakes show us that even when loved by God, we need to remain firm in his ways. We must confess our sins and strive to live according to the Lord's will. If you have been living a life like Solomon's, acknowledge your mistakes, ask for forgiveness, and return to living the plans God has for you. I am sure your life will be much more blessed. If you enjoyed this message, share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel. God bless you.